Welcome to another episode of Behind the Book. It's Gil Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204. And today on the show, live from the Aria, which I like to call affectionately my living room, it's the Director of Trading Operations from the Mirage. It's our old friend Jeff Stoneback. How you doing?
Doing good.
Thanks for doing this.
Oh, thanks for having me again.
It's not exactly football season. We didn't bring you like prime time of the calendar, but a sneaky good sports betting week. We've got the PGA Championship, golf's second major on the way. Gonna get your thoughts about what people bet, what people ought to bet, what vehicles they should use to maximize their golf earnings. Also gonna talk NBA playoffs, of course. And if you don't mind, the Las Vegas Aces start their season, so a little WNBA action.
Sure, a little bit of a smorgasbord here today.
A smorgasbord. That's exactly what I was going to say. That is why we brought you here. Jeff Stoneback, Gil Alexander, we'll do it. All of that behind the book from the Aria, brought to you by the Play MGM app. On Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app, live from the Aria here on the Las Vegas Strip. It's Gil Alexander. It's Jeff Stoneback from the Mirage. Jeff, you're here at the Aria. I assume you don't get to spend much time in this sports book. Is that accurate?
The only time I get to spend time in this sports book is when I'm here with you.
Do you have any sort of inter-property rivalry? Like when you come here, or secretly, I don't know if you verbalize it, but do you secretly ever say to yourself, my place is better than this place? Or do you sometimes have envy about other properties? Because this is kind of like a living room here. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah, actually I do have a little bit of envy. Mandalay Bay is a nice book. I really like that. They've got the bar right there. That is a spectacular book there.
But Mirage is perfectly...
Mirage stacks up as far as any other book in town, but like I said, Mandalay Bay out of our properties is probably my favorite.
Yeah, but the Mirage is the mothership of the whole MGM operation, would you say?
That's it.
The mothership?
That's it. We're the mothership. We're the hub. That's where it all starts.
All right, and you are obviously front and center of that. Let's start with the NBA playoffs. We are in the conference final stage, obviously. Golden State off to a quick start against the Portland Trail Blazers. Milwaukee and Toronto at the time of this recording yet to begin. And you have an adjusted series price with the Warriors minus 900. The Warriors who have won 3 out of the last 4 NBA championships, trying to win their 4th in the last 5 years. Doing it without Kevin Durant, but there's lots of stats that let us know that the Warriors with Curry, without Durant, 31-4 straight up lifetime, including 28-1 straight up in their last 29. It's also favorable against the spread. When it's Durant minus Curry, by the way, in contrast to that, it's the stuff of mere mortals. Pretty good straight up, but actually a losing proposition against the spread. I've asked this of Jay Root on previous shows. Do the Warriors help having a dynastic team like that? Do they help your overall handle? Do you prefer, from your side of the counter, that you have this Goliath involved?
Where it does help us on the individual games, where it does hurt when you have a prohibitive favorite is in the future book. We will write more on the hockey Stanley Cup than we will in the NBA, just because your number 8 seeds will have a shot at winning the Stanley Cup, where in the NBA your number 8 seeds really have no shot at all. And you know, with Golden State the last few years, your number 2 and 3 seeds really didn't have much of a shot at all. But as far as the games, they're polarizing. The players are polarizing. So the individual games, though, it does draw action.
Is there a regional bias to the Warriors? I know it's not quite Southern California, but is there a Warriors contingent that is often here from Northern California?
No, not really. There's no regional bias. Like we had with the Lakers when they're good, we get a ton of money from the people from Southern California. But
tell the truth, are the Lakers the most annoying fan base in the country? No one's watching. It's just me and you talking.
How about them and the Raider fans?
Passionate. Let's use the word passionate.
Yes, they're passionate.
Yes. Passionate fan bases. What about the Eastern Conference? Because that's not as sexy, right? Portland, obviously a big underdog to the Warriors, as you said, but more competitive in the East. Milwaukee looked great against Boston. They're a minus 280 favorite in the series against the Toronto Raptors. And I guess the way I would say this is there was some recency bias, do you think, in that line? In other words, Milwaukee couldn't have looked better against the Celtics. The Raptors, even in victory over their last opponent, the Philadelphia 76ers, kind of just got there. The Sixers had every chance to knock off the Raptors. Had we not had that recency, might this be a much tighter line?
Actually, I was a little surprised that the line, I thought it was a little cheap. I thought it was going to come out a little bit higher.
Right.
Milwaukee's been a public team all year. We've taken a lot of money on Milwaukee.
So you thought there'd be more recency bias, and there wasn't really.
Correct. So, Leonard is really basically all Toronto's got. They're banking on him, so if you can shut him down, I think Milwaukee's going to walk away with it. But that's why I said $280. I thought was a pretty cheap price.
Yeah, and still available. His teammates did look scared to even shoot the basketball in the deciding Game 7 of that previous series, the conference semis. As far as the handle pie, if you will, the entire betting action, I would imagine this time of year the NBA is far and away the most bet on sport. If you look at it as an entire calendar year, if football is king, is the NBA right behind them as far as MGM properties?
Well, you could say the NBA is right behind them. Baseball actually writes a lot more, but they're playing 162 games times 30 teams. So overall for the season, the baseball writes a bit more. But as far as per game and whatnot, we get more money on an NBA game than we do a baseball game.
One last thing, an NBA Finals game versus, let's say, a prime-time NFL regular season game. No comparison, I would imagine.
No comparison. I mean, we'll take plenty of six-figure bets on an NBA championship game.
Oh, you will? The NBA?
Yes. We're talking about a Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night football game. We will, on the NBA championship, we'll take more bigger handle.
Oh, that surprises me. Didn't expect it to go that way. NBA playoffs getting very exciting. Already has been. Probably the best postseason going right now, though we will talk hockey coming up. Basic betting strategies, as well as the PGA. It's on the way right here on Behind the Book from the Aria here in Vegas. Back at the Aria, it's Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. Gil and, of course, Jeff Stoneback stepping in today, the director of trading operations over there at the Mirage. So it is golf's second major this week, and this is a departure. In previous years, the PGA Championship, Jeff, was always the last of the majors. This year, new calendar. It's wedged right in between the others. It's in May, and this is great because Tiger Woods coming off his Masters Championship, and he's obviously front and center, the biggest thing, 8-1 for goodness sake to win it all. That's short. That's not value, Jeff.
Well,
liability.
You should have bet when we open it up at 15-1.
Yeah, that's going to say. Is he the biggest liability you have on the board if he were to win this?
No, believe it or not, he is not the biggest liability.
Who would?
Phil Mickelson right now is the biggest liability. That just happened in the last couple of days. He was 40-1 on Mickelson. He's down to 30-1 right now.
Okay.
But and believe it, Tiger Woods isn't even the favorite.
Brooks Koepka.
Bruce Koepka, 7-1, yes.
As he should be, by the way. So there's many ways to bet a golf tournament. Let's do a little golf betting 101, if you will. What we were just discussing is betting to win the entire tournament. I'll tell you that I do not bet that way in most golf tournaments. I do at the Masters because it's the same course every year. There's a course factor that's somewhat predictive. Here's the PGA. It's at Bethpage Black in Farmington, New York. I am going to wait to bet the market to win the golf tournament. I'm going to wait around, then I'm going to jump back in, bet when I know what the leaderboard is, when it's more sussed out. But there's other ways to bet this. There are derivative markets. You have who leads after 36 holes, for instance.
Right.
You have an in-game option, although not for every tournament, right?
Right. This tournament we weren't going to do it, but we did do it during the Masters. And then obviously we'll update the odds after every round. So like you said, you can jump in after the second round, third round, and bet whoever you think is going good at that time. We've got each individual round. We've got some head-to-head matchups. We put up about a dozen of those up. You can bet golfer A is going to beat golfer B in round one only.
Yep.
We even pick a golfer for each tournament, and you can pick the exact score of each of his 18 holes. So there's a lot of options.
The pros make their hay, professional bettors, on head-to-heads primarily for full golf tournaments. What is the most bet market, though? The one to win it all?
Yeah, the one to win it all is the most bet. But like you said, the professionals do like the head-to-head, and that's where they like to pick and choose.
So many ways to bet golf. So many, and I think with each tournament, you have to really think through how you want to bet it. It is the sport most ripe for a betting revolution, Jeff. Nothing else with that many players. And if we could just do this dynamically for 4 days, I'm just putting a suggestion. it could be an amazing thing. With sports betting legalization, I think golf is that sport ripe for the biggest betting revolution. The PGA Championship, Brooks Koepka, your favorite, 7-1. Tiger Woods right behind that, 8-1. Right here on Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. We love betting sports, and we do it each and every week here on Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. At least we try to help you make money. Gil, Jeff Stoneback, once again with us from the Aria here in Las Vegas. All right, I don't want to give the impression, Jeff, that every sport is wildly bet. Hockey, we talked about that big pie of handle before in a calendar. Is hockey just this little sliver, honestly?
Hockey is a little sliver.
Yeah.
But since we got the Golden Knights, that has actually increased, especially when they play here at home. But it still is a little sliver.
And the Golden Knights, victims of one of the worst, let me not get on it, one of the worst injustices in the history of playoffs in any sport. But now that they're out, the San Jose Sharks happen to still be in. Do you experience, because I have in this book in particular, just hanging out watching playoff hockey and betting on it, there's a backlash against the Sharks here. Every time a goal is scored against them, people seem to go nuts. It's like this Vegas Golden Knights anger still exists. Are you experiencing any of that in the Western Conference between the Blues and the Sharks? Or is that just as lightly bet, say, as the Bruins and the Hurricanes?
No, it's getting some good action. Behind the counter, we are big Sharks fans, though, I can tell you that.
Oh, you are?
We are a very large loser on the Blues to win the Stanley Cup. Everybody talked about the Golden Knights last year, how much we were going to lose. We are close to that with the Blues here. So we are big Sharks fans, which is hard to do.
Wait a minute. You would lose just as much if the Blues won the Stanley Cup this year. You'd lose just as much on them as you would have if the Knights had won it last year?
Close to it. Yeah, we're multi six figures here on the Blues. They had a stretch here where they had won double digits, and one of the games they beat the Golden Knights here at home.
Yeah.
A lot of St. Louis fans there, and they piled on after the game after they beat the Knights, and we took a lot of money that night.
That is huge, and it does kind of make sense. I mean, obviously, the Knights in their inaugural season, there are stories of people having 300-1 tickets, maybe even higher in some cases. But the Blues were the worst team in the NHL in January, and here they are. So in that respect, I guess it does make sense. Interesting. Blues fans, you get to kill the books as well if you win it all.
So let's say, go Sharks go, huh?
Go Sharks go for you anyway. I kind of am rooting for the Blues now, Jeff, to be honest with you. Coming back, we'll talk about the Las Vegas Aces and their debut game coming up as a new season begins on the way on Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. Back at the Aria, it is Behind the Book, brought to you by the Play MGM app. It's Gil Alexander from VSiN, Jeff Stoneback from the Mirage, kind enough to join us. The Aria is like an extension of my apartment. It's a beautiful living room of a sports book. I recommend it for everybody.
I wish I had a living room like you do. It's unbelievable. You got great TVs here.
I'm a very lucky man, Jeff. Listen, if you come down here and you bet multiple sports, maybe you want to bet the WNBA, the new season starts for our Las Vegas Aces, that is, on May 26th at the Mandalay Bay Event Center. Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, new rookie player for the Aces. They just missed the postseason last year. Bill Laimbeer, the head coach. MGM, let's be honest here, let's full disclosure, part owner of the Las Vegas Aces, so no futures wagers on the Aces. Do you have individual game
Not
wagers?
on the Aces, no.
Nothing.
We do book the WNBA, all the games that are not involving the Aces, and like you said, no future wagering on it because of the Aces.
Okay. As far as the other games, do you find that the handle on this sport gets bigger and bigger every year, markedly or sort of incrementally?
Incrementally, but it's because, I guess maybe because we've got a team here in Vegas now, it's becoming more popular. We are taking more bets. We actually have taken some six-figure bets on the WNBA from some casino guests, believe it or not.
Come on.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
See, now I get that in the NFL because the market is so liquid. You guys are like, oh yeah, 6 figures here, 6 figures there. But the WNBA wouldn't strike me as that sport. So is it anybody who can walk in? Like, if I walk in right now and I'm like, Jeff, give me $100,000 on the Aces, would you do that, or would I have to also be a casino player?
You'd also have to be a casino player. I mean, it's tough for us, if we have a casino player betting $100,000 a hand of blackjack and rolling dice for $100,000, he comes in and wants to bet a basketball game, we can't say, hey, you can have it for $5,
Right.
So we'll take the bet, and it'll be us versus him, like you said.
Versus them. You're gambling against them.
We're gambling against them.
Oh, so in case you thought bookmakers always had a winning possibility just on the juice alone, not the case.
We've had a few bad seasons in the WNBA, actually. Exactly.
Really?
Yes.
Pro bettors, there is a niche, a subset of pro bettors that love betting this sport.
Yeah, the pro bettors, they love these smaller sports, and they are in on the WNBA. But like I said, the public is getting involved more and more each year on this.
Do you ever believe, I'll leave you with this, do you ever believe we will have a WNBA championship, let's say the Aces are involved, where people will just be packed into a sports book like they are for other big-time sports? Will that day ever come?
I don't think that day will ever come, but you know what? The UFC with the Ronda Rousey and
That's
whatnot,
right.
we've
It
actually
happened for
lost
that.
more money. We've had a Saturday football where she lost, and it wiped out our profit for college football Saturday. So
Never say never, Jeff.
yes.
Never say never. Jeff, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for doing the show.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it. Jeff Stoneback from the Mirage. Very modest man. He runs the show. He really does. For Jeff Stoneback, it's Gil Alexander. Thanks for watching Behind the Book once again. Brought to you by the Play MGM app from the Aria. Thanks to everybody here at the Aria. Good luck with all your bets this weekend and beyond.